Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this your daily go getimism number 743 for October 15th, 2016. Wow. Vroom, vroom, right? All right. I'm gonna go off the beaten trail a little bit because I want to talk about this. I want to talk a little bit about domestic violence tonight because I had it on my mind today, and I'm not even sure why, but it was on my mind, so I put up a little status about it earlier, and I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. First of all, you know there are different ways to look at the whole domestic violence thing, and it's serious. Violence of any kind is something that needs to be taken seriously. Because when it really all comes down to it, if you have to use violence in order to settle your problems, then there's already some really, really major problems before it even comes down to that. Because, we all have children. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people have children. And children learn from grown-ups because children want to be grown-ups one day. So if we don't teach them the right lessons, then they're not going to be able to get to be grown-ups because there are certain circumstances that can stop their life before they get older. So if we don't teach the youth the proper way to deal with adversity, the way to deal with frustration, the way to deal with their anger, then we're doing them a very big disservice. And we as parents, we as adults, we have an obligation to make sure that the next generation gets the tools that they need in order to be able to progress to the next level, into adulthood. So I'm saying all of that to say that as an adult, if you have been taught as a child to handle your problems with aggression, like to punch, slap, kick, whatever, push, whatever, all of these are forms of violence, and it's bad enough when it's male on male or female on female, but when it crosses over to male on female or female on male, however it goes, it creates a bad domestic situation. Now, I found out a few weeks ago that domestic violence doesn't even necessarily have to involve people that don't live. That it doesn't have to involve people that live together. So you don't even have to be living in a home together or sharing living space in order for it to be domestic violence. So if we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, man and woman, and I'm violent towards you, or you're violent towards me, then that's domestic violence. Now that's something important that we need to understand, because that means that any time that we put our hands on somebody inappropriately, then that falls under the domestic violence umbrella. Basically, the only things dealing with violence that aren't domestic is when you don't know a person. So when you're out there in this, well, let me back that up. Not necessarily when you don't know a person, but when you're not really involved with a person closely. Like, for example, you can have two friends that are duking it out, whether it's male on male, female on female. But because of the relationship structure, and because you know each other, it can still be considered domestic violence. Listen, if you don't get anything out of this video, because I know I'm rambling a little bit, I'm a little tired, I want y'all to understand this. If you feel like the only way that you can handle your problems is to go to blows with somebody, then you have a problem. That's serious. Now that's different from somebody messing with you, somebody actually threatening you physically or whatever. You have the right to handle your business as far as I'm concerned. The court system might see it differently, but as far as I'm concerned, if somebody is seriously fucking with you and threatening to cause you bodily harm, I think you have the right to match that. At least match it. But like I said, the court system doesn't see it like that. Now, there are people who think that that there's a difference between domestic violence and just having a fight. Now, in the black community, when we say that we had a fight, we ain't talking about an argument. We're not talking about, a discussion that got heated. We're not talking about yelling and screaming. In the black community, when we say that we had a fight, that means somebody got hit. Somebody got hurt. Somebody had to defend themselves. Somebody went after somebody physically. So you can say that you and the love of your life or whatever just had a spat, or y'all just had a little fight, but it wasn't no big thing. But hey, it's hard to tell somebody that you was only in a little tiff when you got a black eye, or you got a busted lip, or a bloody nose, or you got marks all over your body from when y'all wrestling and tussling. It's serious, man. That's serious. And listen, if you have to explain your way out of something, then you already know what it is. I mean, deep down in your heart, you know what it is. And there is no reason that somebody has to put their hands on you in order to handle y'all differences. It's just not. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. You got to find another way. Even if I understand that sometimes people feel like, well, whoever hits first, that's how it's game on. Like, all right, it's on now. You shouldn't have hit me. I've known women to strike out at a man, smack him, or push him, or provoke him in a certain kind of way. And many of them don't think that he should hit him back. And if he does, then that means that he's a pussy, he's a coward, he's a bitch, he's a this, that, and the third. But you can't honestly expect to hit somebody and then not expect anybody to hit you back. We learned that as kids in the schoolyard, after school fights and all of that. Yo, you hit me first, we rumbling. And it's not a good look to be having to rumble inside your crib. Any violence perpetrated against you by someone that you love is domestic violence. That's whether it's your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your cousin or your aunts or your uncles or your mom or your dad or whatever. If it's not a situation where you're young and you're receiving a spanking, a whooping, a beating, then it's domestic violence. Even some of those things come under the domestic violence umbrella. So you listen, ain't no getting out of this. But if you find yourself in a situation where you know that it's domestic violence, then you have to do something in order to rise above that. In other words, you gotta let somebody know that you need help, and you're not going to get nowhere if you just keep defending somebody, or you keep hiding your scars, your marks, your bruises, and all of that, and trying to justify it by saying that you was wrong, you shouldn't have did this, that, and the third, whatever. You was drunk and you was mouthing off too much. Nobody have a right to punch you in the mouth, smack you in the mouth, go upside your head. And it's a bad situation to be in when you think that you deserve to have somebody go upside your head. Now, just because you hit back doesn't stop it from being domestic violence. I wish that I could say that it does. But I will say this. Not every domestic violence situation really goes forward and ends tragically. A lot of them do, but not all of them do. And there are couples who fight physically, like, both of them going back and forth, they duking it out, whatever. You know what I mean? Getting it in. Hey, baby, you getting good. But that's not cool. It's not cool. If there's anger and there's violence involved, then it's domestic violence. Somebody wind up getting seriously hurt. There are already emotional problems at the center of all of that. It's just not. It's not something we need to be involved in, man. You know what I mean? Get it together. So even if you fight back, even if you win, it's still domestic violence. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, it's all domestic violence if it's done by a loved one that you've been fighting. So regardless of who wins, regardless of who comes out on top, regardless of who's sorry, regardless of who apologized, regardless of who bought you something in order to appease, and regardless of who was right or wrong, whatever, if it ends in violence, sparked off by anger, then somebody has a problem keeping their hands to themselves. They have a problem communicating their pain. They have a problem communicating their pain even to themselves. And it's not cool. So let's try to do better than that. Make sure y'all listen to the Daily Go Getimism show every single day, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call in number 319-527-6199. Once again, the number to call is area code 319-527-6199, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. blogtalkradio.com/Sun752.